Brotherhood of Steel, Order of the Quill, Historical Documentation Project. This is Senior Scribe Marcellus, assigned to the Vault-Tec Historical Archive. I requested this assignment 3 years ago. I was told the project would take approximately 6 months. I'm now entering year 4. I have read over 14,000 documents. I've compiled testimony from 206 Vault survivors. I have cross-referenced corporate memoranda, employee journals, automated system logs, and what I can only describe as marketing material for the apocalypse. I requested reassignment twice. Both requests were denied. Elder Moss believes this work is important. Elder Moss has not read what I have read. What follows is my attempt to compile the history of the Vault-Tec Corporation into something approaching coherence. I have organized the material chronologically where possible, thematically where necessary, and by order of things that have kept me awake at night when all else failed. A note on the methodology. The pre-war Americans kept excellent records. They documented everything. Meeting minutes, bathroom break policies, the specific decibel levels required to drive a concert violinist permanently insane. They were thorough. I will give them that. Rewind if you must. Press play when ready. Act 1. Revolutionizing safety. The sales pitch, the lie, the business model. To understand Vault-Tec, you must first understand the world that created it. By 2050, the planet was running out of oil. This was, apparently, surprising to everyone. The resource wars began in earnest. Europe against the Middle East, China against anyone with fuel to spare, and America against the mounting suspicion that maybe building an entire civilization around a finite resource was, in hindsight, a questionable decision. The United Nations dissolved in 2052. By 2054, the first nuclear exchange occurred. Not involving America, not yet, but close enough to make the point. America needed a plan. Enter Vault-Tec. Vault-Tec, revolutionizing safety for an uncertain future. Here at Vault-Tec, we understand that the modern American family has concerns. Will there be enough oil to heat my home? Will the Reds finally push the button? Will my children grow up in a world of radioactive ash and mutant horror? These are reasonable concerns, and Vault-Tec has reasonable solutions. Our state-of-the-art underground vault system represents the pinnacle of American engineering. Each vault is designed to house up to 1,000 citizens in comfort, safety, and style, for as long as necessary. Features include reinforced steel construction, rated for direct nuclear strikes, self-sustaining water and air purification, hydroponic food production, fresh vegetables underground, recreational facilities designed by leading psychologists, and the peace of mind that comes from knowing your family's future is secure. Vault-Tec, because you can't put a price on survival. Well, you can. It's quite expensive, but financing options are available. The marketing worked. By 2063, Vault-Tec had contracts for 122 vaults across the continental United States. Each vault could house approximately 1,000 residents. I want to pause here because the mathematics matter. 122 vaults, 1,000 residents each. That's 122,000 people. The population of the United States in 2077 was approximately 400 million. Vault-Tec was aware of this discrepancy. Their internal documents use phrases like acceptable coverage ratios and population triage protocols, and my personal favorite, optimized survival distribution. they could save less than 1% of the population. They knew this. They marketed themselves as the salvation of American civilization anyway. The first documented lie. There would be others. Before we proceed, I want to share some excerpts from the Vault-Tec Employee's Handbook, Volume 18. I have read all 23 volumes. This was a mistake. Section VT00733/D, Employee Break Allocation. Following a comprehensive review of productivity metrics, the Employee Wellness Committee has determined that the previous bathroom break allocation of 2.37 minutes was being misused by a small percentage of techites. Effective immediately, bathroom breaks are reduced to 2.25 minutes. Remember, efficiency is everyone's responsibility, and if you find yourself requiring additional facilities time, please consult with your supervisor about our Accelerated Digestive Wellness Program. I do not know what the Accelerated Digestive Wellness Program entailed. I do not want to know. Section VT00987/A, Vending Machine Protocols. In the event of a vending machine malfunction, employees are reminded to follow proper reporting procedures. Employees should not attempt to resolve the malfunction themselves. Specifically, employees are prohibited from kicking, shaking, punching, hitting with a fire extinguisher, or filling the coin slot with fecal matter. All of these incidents have occurred. All of them have been documented. Vault-Tec maintains a complete record. They documented everything. I want to be clear about this. They documented everything. The fecal matter incident, the fire extinguisher incident, the precise caloric content of cafeteria meatloaf, the number of paper clips requisitioned by the Boston office in fiscal year 2076. They also documented what they were doing in the vaults. They just used different language. What the public did not know, what almost no one knew, was that Vault-Tec had a secondary purpose. Project Safehouse was the public initiative. Build the vaults, save the people. Emerge after the fallout clears and rebuild America. The Societal Preservation Program was something else entirely. Gentlemen, ladies, thank you for attending. As you know, our federal contracts have been generous. The government has provided substantial funding for vault construction, and we have delivered on time, under budget, and with the full confidence of the American people. But we are not in the business of simply storing citizens underground until the radiation clears. Anyone can build a bunker. We are Vault-Tec. We are in the business of data. Each vault in our network has been assigned a unique experimental protocol. Some are medical, some are psychological. Some are, let's call them, sociological. The goal is simple. When humanity emerges from the vaults, we need to know what works. What conditions produces the most resilient survivors? What social structures hold under pressure? What breaks people? And more importantly, what doesn't? We are not conducting experiments. We are optimizing humanity's future. And if some of the data happens to be valuable to certain government agencies, certain defense contractors, certain private interests, well, that's just good business. Optimizing humanity's future. I have now read this phrase in 47 separate Vault-Tec documents. It appears in employee handbooks, experimental protocols, and at least one resignation letter. Though in that case it was preceded by several words I will not repeat in an official Brotherhood record. The experiments varied. Some vaults were designated control facilities. No experiment, just a vault, functioning as advertised. These were rare, 17 out of 122. The rest were laboratories, and the residents were the subjects. Here's a partial list of documented experimental protocols. Vault 12. The door was designed to not close properly. Purpose: study the effects of radiation exposure on an enclosed population. Result: everyone became ghouls. The settlement is now called Necropolis. I am told it is unpleasant. Vault 27. Deliberately overcrowded. 2,000 people in a facility designed for 1,000. Purpose: study the effects of severe overcrowding on social cohesion. Result: exactly what you would expect. Vault 29. No one over the age of 15 was admitted. Purpose: study the development of a society without parental guidance. I have not yet reviewed the outcome of the data for this facility, and I am not looking forward to it. Vault 34. Overstocked with weapons. Unrestricted armory access. Purpose: study the effects of readily available firearms on conflict resolution. Result: they shot each other extensively. Vault 68. 999 men. 1 woman. Vault 69. 999 women. 1 man. I will not speculate on the purpose of those last 2. I will note that someone at Vault-Tec thought this was funny. I will also note that someone at Vault-Tec assigned sequential numbers to these facilities, which suggests the humor was intentional. The pre-war Americans had a peculiar sense of humor. Act 2. Employee orientation. Inside the machine and the people who made it run. I want to address a question that has plagued me since I began this project. How did they not know? The employees, the engineers, the administrators, the people who shipped 15 cases of Psycho to a vault full of recovering addicts, the people who requisitioned 800 gallons of liquid nitrogen for a cryogenic preservation study, the people who installed white noise generators in dormitory ventilation systems. How did they not see? The answer, I have learned, is complicated. Some of them saw nothing because there was nothing to see. At their level, the pieces didn't form a picture. They moved boxes, they filed paperwork, and they went home. Some of them saw everything and didn't care. The paycheck cleared, the benefits were good. Why ask questions? And some of them saw and cared, and it destroyed them.
So we just shipped 15 cases of Psycho and Jet to Vault 95. For context, Vault 95 is the addiction recovery facility. It's full of people who are trying, really trying, to get clean. Vault-Tec's whole pitch was state-of-the-art rehabilitation in a supportive underground community. And we just sent them enough chems to supply a city hospital for 6 months. I brought this up with Davidson. He's my supervisor. He said, and I'm quoting here, "It's to force them to make the hard choice. Chems or recovery. We're giving them the tools to succeed." I asked what happens if they don't choose recovery. He said that would also be valuable data. I don't think I like my job anymore.
The employee's name was Martin Reed. He worked at the Vault-Tec regional headquarters in Boston. He had been with the company for 3 years. His supervisor, Frank Davidson, had been with the company considerably longer. I have Davidson's terminal entries as well, and they paint a different picture.
Personal log, October 2nd. Reed is becoming a problem. He's convinced the vaults are being used to harm residents instead of help them. He keeps bringing it up. He keeps asking questions. I've told him he's being paranoid. Vault-Tec would never do anything unethical. He believed me. They always believed me. It's remarkable, really. You can tell people exactly what they want to hear, and they'll accept it. Even when the evidence is sitting right in front of them. Reed's a smart kid. Good instincts. If he'd been born somewhere else, he might have done something useful with his life. Instead, he works for Vault-Tec, and he'll keep working for Vault-Tec until he either stops asking questions or becomes a question himself. Personal log, October 13th. Sharon spilled coffee on my shirt this morning. I told her it was fine. We had a good laugh. If she does it again, I'll stab her in the throat with my pen. She's a good kid.
I want to be clear, I do not know if Frank Davidson was a representative of Vault-Tec management. I do not know how many Davidsons there were. People who understood exactly what the company was doing and participated anyway. But I know there was at least one. And I know that Sharon stopped coming to work 4 days later. And I know that no one ever found out what happened to her. The official record says she separated from the company.
Personal log, October 7th. Walter in the warehouse told me something interesting today. We received a shipment for Vault 111. Big crates, marked Do Not Open, in letters about 4 inches high. So Walter opened one, because Walter has never followed an instruction in his life. And honestly, I respect that about him. It was liquid nitrogen. Hundreds of gallons of liquid nitrogen. Vault 111 is a cryogenic preservation study. I looked it up. The residents are going to be frozen. Long-term suspended animation for the preservation of pre-war genetic stock. That's the official description. I asked Davidson what long-term means in this context. He said it was need to know. I asked if the residents know. He changed the subject. Personal log, October 19th. Sharon's missing. She worked on the 3rd floor. Nice woman. Spilled the coffee on Davidson once and he laughed it off. Which surprised me because Davidson doesn't laugh. Davidson looks at people like he's calculating how much paperwork their death would generate. Anyway, Sharon's been gone for 4 days. Nobody knows where she went. HR says she separated from the company. That's the exact phrase, separated. Walter's worried. I think he had a thing for her. He's been moping around the warehouse, surrounded by toilet shipments and cryogenic equipment, looking like someone's cancelled Christmas. I'm worried too, but not about Sharon specifically. I'm worried because I've been asking too many questions, and I've noticed Davidson looking at me the way he looks at everyone. Like he's calculating. Personal log, October 22nd. That's it. I'm done. I put in my 2 weeks this morning. Davidson just nodded. Didn't argue, didn't ask why. Just nodded and said, "We'll process that." These vaults are supposed to be a safe haven. They're supposed to save people. That's the whole point. That's what we've been telling everyone for 20 years. And instead, I don't know what we're doing. That's the worst part. I can see the pieces. The chems to the rehab vault, the nitrogen to the cryo vault, the white noise generators to the musician's vault. But I can't see the whole picture. I don't think I want to. I just need to get through 2 more. I just need to get through 2 more weeks. Then I'm out. I'll find something else. Something that doesn't make me feel like I'm complicit in...
Martin Reed submitted his resignation on October 22nd, 2077. The bombs fell on October 23rd. There is no record of what happened to him. There is no record of what happened to Sharon, or Walter, or Frank Davidson, or any of the other employees at the Vault-Tec regional headquarters in Boston. The building is still standing. Brotherhood scouts have explored it extensively. They found terminals, filing cabinets, a skeleton in the bathroom clutching what appears to be a miniature nuclear device. They did not find answers. I find this frustrating. I also find it appropriate. Vault-Tec was very good at creating questions. They were significantly less interested in providing answers. Act 3. Experimental Protocols. The vaults, the experiments, the data. I have attempted to categorize the vault experiments by methodology. This proved difficult because Vault-Tec's methodologies ranged from questionable to cartoonishly evil to what possible scientific value could this ever have. I have settled on organizing them by what I call apparent intent. What Vault-Tec claimed they were studying versus what they were actually doing. We begin with Vault 92, because I believe in starting with the classics. Vault 92, the musicians. Vault 92, Capital Wasteland, constructed 2062, sealed October 2077. Official purpose, preservation of musical talent. The vault was marketed to accomplished musicians as a sanctuary for artistic excellence, a place where America's greatest performers could survive the apocalypse and emerge to rebuild human culture. The roster was impressive. Concert pianists, symphony violinists, jazz ensembles, one of the last living masters of the theremin, which I am told is an instrument and not a medical condition. They were told they were saving music. Actual purpose, Vault-Tec Confidential Plan, WNMSCE, which stands for White Noise Mind Suggestion Combat Experimentation. The goal was to determine whether subliminal audio messaging could create obedient soldiers. Soldiers who would follow any order. Soldiers who would feel no pain. Soldiers who could be programmed like machines. They chose musicians because musicians have trained ears. If the subliminal messaging worked on people specifically selected for audio sensitivity, it would work on anyone. The logic was sound. The ethics were not.
Vault 92 Overseer's Log, Entry 117. Professor Malleus has completed initial trials of the White Noise Protocol in isolated testing chambers. The results are promising. Subjects demonstrate increased compliance with verbal commands and reduced hesitation responses. Some subjects report headaches, difficulty sleeping, auditory hallucinations. These are within acceptable parameters. Per Vault-Tec Directive 77 Alpha, I'm authorizing extension of the protocol to dormitory ventilation systems. All residents will now receive continuous white noise exposure during sleep cycles. Professor Malleus has expressed reservations. I have noted his reservations. I have also noted that his reservations are not relevant to my instructions. We are not here to preserve music. We are here to produce data.
Professor Malleus, the lead researcher. He designed the original white noise system. Limited trials, isolated chambers, proper controls, scientific method. When the Overseer expanded the program to include everyone, Malleus objected. He filed formal complaints. He documented side effects, and he tried to warn the residents. The Overseer's logs note that Professor Malleus was removed from the project on January 3rd, 2078. There is no record of where he was removed to. The experiment proceeded as designed. Within 3 months, approximately 30% of residents began exhibiting what the Overseer's logs describe as combat-ready psychological restructuring. A more accurate description would be violent psychotic breaks.
Vault 92 Overseer's Log, Entry 142. Incident report, subject V920717. Attacked 3 residents in the cafeteria this morning. No apparent provocation. Subject continued attacking until security personnel intervened. Subject sustained 23 gunshot wounds before becoming non-responsive. 23. I am noting this as a successful demonstration of the protocol's pain suppression capabilities. I am also noting that we may need to requisition additional ammunition.
Among the residents was a young violinist named Zoe Hammerstein. She kept a diary. The early entries are hopeful. She writes about the acoustics, the other musicians. The possibility of composing something beautiful underground, something that would outlast the apocalypse. The later entries are different. I'm not going to reproduce them in full. The handwriting degrades. The sentences become fragments. Words like help and please appear between passages that are no longer legible as language. The command phrase, the sequence that was supposed to control the subjects, appears in her final entry. Sanity is not statistical. It's a quotation. pre-war literature. Someone at Vault-Tec thought they were being clever. Zoe Hammerstein was 23 years old. She'd been offered a position with the Boston Symphony Orchestra 2 months before the war. She chose Vault 92 instead, because she wanted to survive, because she wanted to keep playing. There were no survivors. Vault-Tec classified Vault 92 as a partial success. The white noise protocol did, technically, produce compliant subjects, capable of sustaining significant physical trauma. The fact that these subjects also murdered everyone around them before dying themselves was noted as an area for future refinement. I sometimes wonder if the people who wrote these reports believed what they were writing. I sometimes wonder if they went home at night, kissed their families, and slept soundly, knowing they had done good work. I suspect they did. That's the part I find most troubling. Vault 111, the Commonwealth. Constructed 2069, sealed October 2077. Official purpose, long-term cryogenic preservation. Residents would be frozen immediately upon entry and thawed when the surface conditions allowed safe habitation. This one wasn't even a lie, technically. The residents were frozen. The cryogenic systems functioned as designed. Vault-Tec's engineering department did excellent work. The lie was in the details. Vault 111, Overseer's Log, Entry 1. All residents have been successfully processed and placed in cryogenic suspension. Vital signs are stable across all pods. The facility is operating within normal parameters. Per protocol, Vault staff will maintain the facility until the all-clear signal is received from the Vault-Tec regional headquarters. I have reviewed the staff provision manifest. We have approximately 4 months of food supplies. The cryogenic systems are designed to operate indefinitely. I have asked Regional HQ how long we should expect to wait for the all-clear signal. They said it was a need to know. I am beginning to suspect that many things are need to know. Vault 111, Overseer's Log Entry... I've lost count. February, I think, 2078. No all-clear signal. No communication from Regional HQ. No communication from anyone. We tried the radio, we tried the emergency channels. Nothing but static. I don't know if that means everyone's dead, or just that the communications equipment is damaged. I don't know which option I prefer. The staff held a vote this morning. They want to unseal the vault and attempt surface evacuation. I explained that this would violate protocol. I explained that our purpose is to maintain the cryogenic systems until authorized to do otherwise. I explained that the residents are depending on us. They voted to leave anyway. I am the overseer. My job is to oversee. If there's no one left to oversee, what am I? The relevant passage in the handbook is very clear. Page 273, Section 12, Paragraph 4. In the event of critical systems failure, resulting in imminent resident mortality, staff are reminded that intervention must be authorized by Vault-Tec Regional Headquarters. Unauthorized intervention, including but not limited to premature thawing of cryogenic subjects, constitutes termination of experimental protocols. And then, in bold, euthanasia is not an approved life-saving measure. I have read that sentence many times. I do not know what it means. I think it means we're supposed to let them die, rather than make a decision without permission. I think it means Vault-Tec valued their data more than their subjects. I'm going to leave now. I'm going to seal the vault behind me. The automated systems will maintain cryogenic suspension indefinitely. Perhaps someone will come for them eventually. Perhaps. No one came. The residents of Vault 111 remained frozen for 210 years. Their families outside died in nuclear fire. Their civilization collapsed, rebuilt itself, collapsed again, and they slept through all of it. In 2227, 150 years after the vault sealed, a group of mercenaries broke in. They were looking for a specific infant. They shot the infant's father through the glass of his cryogenic pod. The infant's mother was in the adjacent pod. She was conscious. The revival process had begun, but she couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't do anything but watch her husband die and her child be taken. Then they put her back under. She woke up 60 years later. Everyone she had ever known was dead. Her son was an old man. The world she remembered no longer existed. The experiment was classified as a success. The cryogenic systems had functioned as designed. Vault 95, the Recovery Center. Vault 95, the Commonwealth. This one is almost funny. Almost. Official purpose, addiction recovery. The vault was marketed to people struggling with chem dependency, jet addicts, psycho users, people who had lost everything to substances and wanted a second chance. Vault-Tec offered them that chance, state-of-the-art rehabilitation, supportive community, a fresh start in a world free from temptation. For 5 years, it worked. The residents got clean. They built a community. They supported each other through withdrawal, through cravings, through all the ugly parts of recovery. They celebrated milestones. They mourned relapses. They became a family. Then, one of them found the hidden stash.
Vault 95, Overseer's Log, Supplement 7 Alpha, confidential. The embedded operative has been successfully integrated into the resident population. They have been clean, or appear to be clean, for 4 years and 7 months. Per protocol, the operative will discover the concealed chem supply at the 5-year mark. This supply includes pharmaceutical-grade psycho, jet, and buff-out, sufficient to trigger community-wide relapse. The purpose of this protocol is to study long-term recovery resilience under conditions of unexpected temptation. I have been asked to predict the outcome. I have declined to speculate. I have a bottle of whiskey in my desk. I've had it for 4 years. I have not opened it. Some days, I think about opening it. I think that tells me everything I need to know about what will happen in Vault 95.
The Overseer's prediction was accurate. When the stash was discovered, the community fractured. Some residents relapsed immediately. Others tried to destroy the supply and were stopped, violently, by those who wanted it preserved. Within 6 months, everyone was using again. Within a year, they were killing each other for doses. The operative survived. Their report to Vault-Tec is in our archives. It's 3 pages long. Dry, clinical. It uses phrases like community dissolution, and resource competition, and terminal outcome. The final line reads, recommended continued study of recovery resilience in future Vault iterations. There were no future Vault iterations. The bombs had already fallen. There was no one left to read the report. No one left to implement the recommendations, and no one left to care. But the operative wrote it anyway, followed protocol, did their job. I think about that sometimes. Act 4. The Lottery. Vault 11. The experiment that worked perfectly. I have saved Vault 11 for last. Not because it's the worst. I'm not sure any of these experiments can be ranked by severity. They're all terrible. They're all unnecessary. They're all products of people who saw human beings as data points. But Vault 11 is different. Vault 11 is the one that worked. Vault 11, Mojave Wasteland, constructed 2060, sealed October 2077. The experiment was simple. The residents were told upon sealing that they must select one of their own for sacrifice each year. If they refused, the vault's automated systems would execute the entire population. That was the rule. 1 death per year, or everyone dies. The first overseer, the man who sealed the vault, who knew what it really was selected as the first sacrifice. The residents considered this justice. It was the last thing they agreed on. Good morning, Vault 11. This is your annual reminder that Sacrifice Election Day is approaching. Please remember to cast your vote at any registered terminal. Your voice matters. Voting closes at midnight on the 15th. The selected citizen will report to the sacrifice chamber at 9 a.m. on the 16th. Thank you for your participation in democracy. Vault-Tec wishes you a productive day. Democracy. They made it a vote. Because of course they did. Because Americans vote on things. Because that's how you make murder feel legitimate. You put it on a ballot. Within a decade, voting blocs had formed. The Justice Bloc, the Human Dignity Bloc, various smaller factions with various smaller agendas. Each bloc protected its members by directing votes towards non-members. The elections became campaigns, smear campaigns. Dig up enough dirt on someone, convince enough people they deserve to die, and you could survive another year. One campaign slogan was, "Vote Thompson. He probably deserves it." Thompson was selected that year. The logs don't recall what he did, or didn't do, or whether it mattered. The blocs grew more powerful. The elections grew more vicious. And eventually someone realized that the system could be leveraged for purpose beyond mere survival. If you controlled enough votes, you controlled who lived and who died. That's real power. And people will do terrible things for real power. Which brings us to Catherine Stone. My husband, Nathan, was popular, likable. People trusted him. The Justice Bloc didn't like that. Popular people are hard to vote against, so they came to me. They said if I cooperated with certain members of the bloc, they would remove Nathan from consideration. They would protect him. I cooperated. They nominated him anyway. He was elected. He went to the chamber. He didn't come back. I killed them. The bloc members who made me the offer. All of them. It took 3 months. No one suspected me. I was the grieving widow after all. Who would suspect the grieving widow? When I was done, I submitted my name for overseer. I won. My first act was to abolish the elections. No more campaigns. No more deals. No more blocs leveraging people's lives for political power. From now on, selection would be random. A lottery. Pure chance. They didn't like that. The Justice Bloc, what remained of it, staged an armed revolt against Overseer Stone's administration. They called it a restoration of democracy. They said the lottery was tyranny. They said Catherine Stone had no right to change the system their founders had built. Their founders had built a system where you could rape a woman and then murder her husband. But they called it democracy, so it must have been legitimate. The Civil War lasted 3 weeks. When the shooting stopped, 5 people were left alive. Catherine Stone was not among them. The 5 survivors faced a choice. They could continue, 1 sacrifice per year. In 5 years, one of them would remain, alone, in a vault full of corpses, waiting for a door that might never open. Or they could refuse. They refused. I don't know. It's been a long time since I did anything that I wanted to. I know. For any of us. I'm not going to say I didn't want to see the outside, but I just thought there'd be more of us when we did.
So that's it then. It's all over.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We were so stupid. All of us. All of them. Why didn't we?
Well, I guess this is it.
Wait. I need a minute.
They walked to the sacrifice chamber together, all 5 of them. They expected the vault to kill them. The vault did not kill them. Congratulations, citizens of Vault 11. You've made the decision to not select one of your own to be sacrificed. By doing so, you've proven yourselves an example of humanity at its finest. You have demonstrated that human beings, when faced with impossible choices, will choose compassion over self-preservation. The experiment is complete. Vault 11's main door is now unlocked. You may leave at any time. Vault-Tec thanks you for your participation. On behalf of everyone here at Vault-Tec, we wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. There was no kill switch. There was never a kill switch. The vault was never going to execute anyone. The entire experiment, the elections, the blocks, the civil war, the decades of ritualized murder, was based on a lie. All they had to do was refuse. From the beginning, from the very first year, all they had to do was say no. And the door would have opened, and they could have walked out into whatever was waiting for them. Instead, they killed each other for decades, because they were told they had to. And when the 5 survivors learned the truth, when they understood what they had done, what everyone had done, what had been done to them, 4 of them chose not to live with that knowledge. One survivor walked out of Vault 11 and into the Mojave Wasteland. We don't know their name. We don't know what happened to them. We don't know if they lived a long life, or died in the desert, or found some kind of peace. But we know they walked. I think about that sometimes. The choice to keep walking. To carry the weight of what happened and move forward anyway. I don't know if it was brave, or broken, or both. I don't know if there's a difference. This concludes the first volume of the Vault-Tec Historical Archive. I have documented 4 facilities in this recording. There are 118 more. I am told that Elder Moss is pleased with my progress. I am told that this work is important for future generations. I am told that understanding the failures of the past will help us build a better future. Maybe. I hope so. But sometimes late at night I wonder if understanding is enough. I wonder if we learn anything from history, or we just find new ways to repeat it. The pre-war Americans had everything. Technology, resources, the collective knowledge of centuries. And they used it to build prisons disguised as shelters, to turn neighbors into executioners, to reduce human beings to data points, in experiments that served no purpose, except to satisfy someone's curiosity about how much suffering people could endure. They could have saved millions. They chose to study them instead. I will continue this project. I will document the remaining vaults. I will preserve the records, the testimonies, the evidence of what was done. But I will not pretend to understand it. Some things resist understanding. Some things should. Steel be with you.